Hello प्यारे बच्चों, hope you all are doing well. In this video, we will try to understand the key terms of spherical mirrors and try to understand different types of mirrors with clarity. So let's begin. So before we look into different kinds of mirrors, let us understand a very basic phenomena of light, which is known as reflection. Reflection is nothing but it is the bouncing back of light from a smooth and shiny surface. Any smooth or shiny surface, it reflects the light or bounce back the light, and that phenomenon is known as reflection. Let us see the laws of reflection. In this diagram, you can see that a ray is incident on this surface. This surface is a plain, smooth, and shiny surface. And when this light is incident on it, it bounces back, and that ray is known as reflected ray. Now, these two rays are making an angle of incidence and an angle of reflection with a hypothetical ray, which we call as a normal ray. Now, there are certain laws of reflection which remain the same whether the surface is smooth or whether the surface is rough. Even if the surface is rough, then also these laws will be applicable in the similar manner. What does this first law states that the incident ray, reflected ray, and normal ray. Here you can see three different rays. Ek hai incident ray, other one is normal ray, and the third one is reflected ray. All of them, they are going to lie on the same plane. Same plane का मतलब क्या हो गया? That for an instance, that if this incident ray is falling on a wall in a room, then it is going to reflect from the wall only, and this normal ray is also going to lie on the wall only. So wall will be considered as a surface, and all these three rays will lie in the same plane, which in this example is a wall. So like this, there can be different kinds of surfaces on which when the incident ray is falling, the ray is getting reflected back from the same plane, and the normal is also going to be light on the same plane. The angle of incidence is always equal to the angle of reflection. In this diagram, you can see that this angle I, is equal to angle R. So this is the second law of reflection, that in under all circumstances, angle I will always be equal to angle R. Suppose if you consider a rough surface, so in this case also, if a ray is incident and is getting reflected, then also this law will be applicable because angle I will always be equal to angle R. I hope it is clear to everybody. There are two different kinds of mirrors. One is plane mirror, and the surface of plane mirror is flat. Whereas the other category is a spherical mirror. Spherical mirror. And these are known as spherical mirrors because the surface is curved, and these mirrors are supposed to be cut out from a sphere. That is why we call them as a spherical mirror. So there are two different kinds of spherical mirrors. One is concave mirror, then other one is convex mirror. Let's see that how the images are formed by these three different kinds of mirrors. For plane mirror, you have already studied the characteristics of your images in the previous classes. The image which is formed by a plane mirror is always virtual and erect. Always remember that if any image is formed in front of the mirror, then it will always be real and inverted, and if any image is formed behind the mirror, then it's always going to be virtual and erect. The plane mirror is a replicator. It just replicates the image. So the image is of the same size. You will find the image of the same size. So the first feature is virtual and erect. Secondly, it will be of the similar size. The third characteristic, it will be laterally inverted. What does this laterally inverted mean? That the left side of the image will appear on the right hand side, and the right side of the image will appear on the left hand side. And such kind of images are known as laterally inverted images. The fourth characteristic is that the image is always going to be formed or appear to be formed, because in the case of virtual images, the reflected rays don't actually meet at a point. They appear to meet. These dotted lines, what does this show? That the image is appeared to be formed and it is not exactly formed, or it does not form in reality, because the real images are formed when the reflected rays actually meet at a point. But here the rays are not actually meeting at a point, and that is why these dotted lines are shown. So the image formed will always be at the similar distance from the mirror. Here is your mirror, and this is the object. So if suppose this distance is around, let's just say, 15 centimeter or 10 centimeter, then this distance is also going to be same 10 centimeter. So these are the four important characteristics of the images which are formed by the plane mirror, and the plane mirror is a replicator. It replicates the image. Here are all these three different kinds of mirrors, and their functions, that how do they form the images. The first one is showing the plane mirror, where the surface is absolutely flat in nature, whereas in the second figure you can see that one side is polished and that is curved inward. So this is a concave mirror, and it converges the rays. These rays are incident, and when they are reflected, they meet at a point known as focus. Whereas in the third case, this mirror is a divergent, or we call it as a diverging mirror, because when the incident rays fall on this mirror, they reflect and they diverge from each other. They diverge from each other, and then these rays do not exactly meet at a point, but they appear to meet at a point, and that is why such kind of mirrors form always virtual images. Now let's understand some of the very important terms regarding spherical mirrors. This is a concave mirror because it's curved inward. Now, before we discuss the terms of a spherical mirror, let us complete it into an entire imaginary sphere. So, this is a concave mirror, and this can be considered as an entire imaginary sphere. Here you can see that this is very clear. This is an incident ray which is incident on the smooth, shiny surface of the concave mirror and is reflected and passing through a point which is known as focus. So whenever any ray is incident on a concave mirror which is parallel to the principal axis, this entire, here you can see this entire line is known as a principal axis. So it always passes through the focus. Now what is a focus? Where the reflected rays meet. After reflection, the point where the reflected rays meet, that point is known as focus. What is this C? C is center of curvature. Center of curvature means what? It's the center of the imaginary sphere of which the curved surface is a part of. So C is the center of the curvature. Then when it is the center of the curvature, the distance from this point till C will be considered as R, capital R, which is known as radius of curvature. And the half of this distance from this point till C, half of this distance is known as focus, where the reflected rays meet. Now the middle of this is the reflecting part of this curved, the spherical mirror, and the center of this curved part, the middle of this mirror, of this reflecting surface is known as pole, which is represented by P. The principal axis is the line which joins P and C. The line which joins P and C together, this point and this point together, is known as principal axis. This we have already discussed, that whenever an image is formed behind the mirror, it will always be virtual image. And if any image is formed in front of the mirror, it will be real and inverted. There is a relationship between center of curvature and focal length. F and focus. Focus is equal to C upon F, and radius is equal to 2 into focal length. So focal length is represented by small f, which is equal to R by 2. These are some of the very important terms of spherical mirror which you should know. Now, how the concave mirror is different from a convex mirror? Concave mirror is curved inward. Here in the diagram you can see in the figure that here it is curved inwards and outside is polished. Such kind of mirrors are known as concave mirrors. And convex mirrors are curved outwards. We have already discussed about that concave mirror is a converging mirror. It converges the rays after reflection, converges at a point which is known as focus. And here the rays diverge but they appear to meet at a point which is known as focus. In the case of concave mirror, it forms both real and virtual images, whereas in the case of convex mirror, it only forms virtual images, which you are going to see when I will be discussing the ray diagrams. In concave mirror, it produces diminished and magnified images. Diminished means the small images, whereas magnified images means which are larger than the object. Whereas in convex mirror, it only produces diminished images. Hey kids, this all for today. If you are finding the content useful, mind maps and flow diagrams on my channel easy to understand and follow, please like, share and subscribe my channel.